You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulysses Zambrano.
Bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
We're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 7th season covering the Rays daily.
Welcome to a special Locked On crossover edition of Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I am your host, Boony. One name, all passion, no filter. And today we are tag teaming with Kevin Weiss from Locked On Rays to break down a matchup that's got minor league vibes with major league implications. Two teams, two tiny payrolls, and two minor league ballparks, but only one of them is actually winning games. So what gives? Now, this episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Kevin, how are you, buddy?
Doing well, hoping for another series win for the Rays. A little bit of the opposite feel of what you're imagining, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, you never know with our squad. We made one roster addition today. We brought up our number 3 overall prospect, Colby Thomas. So that should be interesting. I'm not sure if he's going to play tonight, but in about an hour, back at you again. Steinbrenner Field, Tampa, Florida. Yankees spring training home. Now basically doubling as a temporary stage for two major league teams that are playing small market ball. We talked last time we were on was in the off season, and we were talking a little bit about the big trade, I guess, for us, right? Jacob Lopez and Jeffrey Springs for Joe Boyle. And I would say all three pitchers have been unbelievable. And I want to get your thoughts on that in a little bit. But first, beyond the field itself, the similarities of these teams are crazy, right? Payroll, Rays 28th, A's 29th. Attendance, Rays 29th, A's dead last, only separated by a few hundred. But the only difference, the Rays right now are 47 and 37, a game and a half of the AL East, comfortably 3.5 and head in the wild card race. They're up, and the A's were 34 and 52, 17 games back in the West and 10.5 games back in the wild card. With such similar financial and stadium challenges, it begs the question, Kevin, what gives? Why is one club thriving and the other drowning? And let me ask you a question. Are you surprised right now by the Rays' success? I know you said pitching you thought was elite in the offseason. You were worried about hitting.
Yeah, that's 100% the case. And I honestly, at this point, June 30th, would not have expected the Rays to be at the spot they are right now. They've been on an incredible roll. More people should be talking about them. I mean, a month and a half ago, not saying they were in the same position as the Athletics, but they were struggling. They were just trying to hold themselves above water, but they have really kicked it off the last several weeks. And I think part of it is the young players really starting to play well together and get that experience and realize, okay, yeah, we belong in the big leagues. We got it figured out, and getting more comfortable to the new confines of Steinbrenner Field. But I honestly, entering the season, thought that maybe the Rays could be a 500 team.
I remember.
Maybe be a couple games above 500, just kind of hovering the line, if you will. And right now it's been anything but that. I know they lost their previous series over the weekend, but beyond that, I mean, they've been winning series left and right, sweeping series, beating really good teams like the Mets, for example, and you just hope it continues. And what's interesting is this isn't a, fully stocked Rays roster. We're without Shane McClanahan. We're without Hassan Kim. So it's only a matter of time when those guys return that the Rays could kick it off even further. And now really some of the conversation should be, what, if anything, are the Rays going to do at the All-Star break? Hopefully they're not sellers. Hopefully they're adders and buyers to some extent, or at least maintain the key pieces that have been so successful right now. But you got to credit the coaching staff for sticking together and the player development folks for really putting trust in a guy like Jonathan Aranda and Curtis Mead, because it's been very easy to give up on some of those guys where they've had cups of coffees and they've had stints here and there and
Aranda's having
really
a big
didn't
year.
matriculate. But now they're really kicking it off and finding their footing. And I think we're seeing a solid Rays ball club in all phases, whether it's offense, pitching, or defense. And sometimes the pitching's not there, the offense is there. Sometimes the offense isn't there and the pitching isn't there. And they found a way to win big, and they found a way to win close games. So it's really a run to remember right now for the Rays, amidst all the controversy that is ownership and stadium and Wander Franco. I mean, just being able to put that to the side and say, let's go out and win a lot of ball games. It's really refreshing. And I think these guys have a chip on their shoulder too, with the expectations coming into the season and the low payroll and everybody talking about what's going on off the field versus on the field. So really, if you're a baseball fan, you should be paying attention to what's happening, not in St. Petersburg, but in Tampa right now.
I wanted to ask you about the ballpark in the Bay Area now, in the ballparks in Sacramento, but the vibe, I thought we were going to have the same type of deal as Tampa. We're going to have a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. We're going to play with a little bit of an edge. It has been everything. It's been the opposite of everything. Players, Lawrence Butler, Severino's been very outspoken about how he does not like the minor league stadium, etc. The Bay Area media has crushed the A's every chance they can get. And I mean, the vibe out here, it's been, as far as me being a fan, it's been one of the worst, least enjoyable seasons as far as a fan, not because of the losing, because everything else that's going on off the field that's affecting the players on the field. What is the vibe like with regard to the fans, with regard to the media, and everything about playing at Steinbrenner Field?
That's a great question. I think initially, there's complaints and conversation about, well, we're playing in a single A ballpark. It's going to be very hot. There's going to be rain. It's just not going to be ideal conditions for baseball. A lot of wind. Who knows how the ball is going to carry? And I think that now that the Rays have kind of figured out how to embrace and play there and maybe use it to an advantage where, other teams coming in, they're not used to that heat and humidity. They're not used to having to maybe sit through a raining delay. They're not necessarily used to fans being, packed all around you in a very close proximity environment, where I think it's just a mindset thing of, hey, this is where we're at and we've got to deal with it. And really, I think it's kind of cool in the sense that, at the Trop, you might have 25,000 seats and half of them or 2/3 of them are going to be empty. Whereas at Steinbrenner, you pretty much have a sellout every night, even though it's only, 10,000 fans and some change, but it still makes it for, I think, a more unique environment that Rays players aren't really used to. So, and the Rays have done what they can with pushing back start times. Like tonight's game is at 7:35 p.m., where earlier on in the season it was at 6:40 p.m. So it's really, in my opinion, just you have to adjust and deal with the conditions. If you're a fan and the conditions don't suit you, don't go. Just watch the game on TV. But every time I've been to Steinbrenner, it's been a really cool experience that is only a 1-year deal. So you might as well take it for what it is. And if you have to wear a brim hat or wear extra sunscreen or get in the shade, so be it. But I think it's really kind of snowballed a future conversation of, can the Rays find a way to weasel out a new stadium, not in St. Petersburg, but in Tampa? Maybe they, with a new ownership group, work out some sort of deal with Hillsborough County or the city of Tampa and the leaders that are there and say, hey, let's put a new ballpark where the most population is within a 30 to 60 minute radius. So that's kind of gotten things drumming going forward. Now, really, one of the huge questions lingering is if the Rays are so successful that they make the playoffs and go deep in the playoffs, what does the team do? Where do they play?
Has there been any word on that? I've heard of Miami playing where the Marlins play.
Yeah, so I think it's just been preliminary conversations. There's a report from Ken Rosenthal, and I'm sure some others, but really it's just finding that neutral site. I think Atlanta and Miami have been mentioned. We're of the opinion that, if the Rays are going to have that quote-unquote neutral site, it should be in Florida. And just put it in Miami, 4 hours, 3.5 hours south. You're in a dome and try to make the best of it that you can. I mean, the Rays always are dealing with something kooky and crazy. I mean, back in 2020, the Rays got to the World Series during the COVID year with no fans. So, it's like we can't have our cake and eat it too. We always got to deal with some parameter that makes things really wild for one reason or another. But my best guess would be Miami. And last I checked, I don't think Miami's going to the playoffs anytime soon. So there'd be plenty of time.
They've been making a run, haven't they? 8 in a row, I believe. Jeez.
Okay. Well, I think they still got some more work to do.
though.
But yes. And I mean, I guess you could, throw out Raymond James Stadium where the Buccaneers play, but there was a Savannah Bananas game a couple months ago, and I think the dimensions just made it's goofy how it would work out. So they're going to have to find a spot for him if they eventually get to that point. And I guess now is the time to start preparing for that because, things in the playoffs can move pretty quickly.
Speaking of playoffs and what the Rays need to do, I do want to talk to you about trade deadline. Are the Rays going to be buyers? And I want to kind of talk about a trade the A's and Rays made in the offseason. Up next.
Ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning that big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money, it's more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. We all like that, right? So go ahead, take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year.
Kevin, the A's are starting 2 former Rays in this series, games 1 and 2, Jacob Lopez and Jeffrey Springs, part of the big offseason trade. On the flip side of that trade is Joe Boyle. Now, Joe Boyle has absolutely dominated in the Rays system and has made only 1 big league appearance, and he started that game and he dominated. Why is that? What are the Rays waiting for? And is it just a situation where the Rays are just loaded with pitching?
Yes, essentially. And it's funny because I would have thought that, hey, with Shane McClanahan going down before the season started, that, I mean, there has to be a spot for Joe Boyle at some point. But really, this has been such a rare situation and scenario where the Rays' 5 starters going into the year, Rasmussen, Pepio, Littell, Boz, and Bradley, have all stayed healthy, completely healthy. And they're racking up innings. Like Littell has 104 innings. Pepio has 96 innings. Boz and Bradley have 90 and 92 innings respectively. Now, there have been question marks about, Taj Bradley has had some down starts. There's been some up and downs. Same thing with Shane Boz, although Shane Boz really put it together in his last outing where he went 8 strong innings and had a no-hitter in place for a period of time. But I think the Rays are just rolling with the crew that they have right now. And I would argue that Joe Boyle, what he's doing in the minor leagues, like he deserves a shot somewhere. And I think eventually he will get that opportunity. And maybe the Rays feel that, they can buy and sell at the same time. They can maybe trade one of their existing starters, i.e. Zach Littell, if they feel so comfortable to call up Joe Boyle and have him make a deep run in the playoffs. But I think it's just a case of things are working right now and there's no need to upset the apple cart or make changes until one of the pitchers really falters. And I think that the Rays would prefer to keep this starting five in place as long as possible. And if guys are dealing with some sort of struggle with command or control or pitch count, that they work it out with Kyle Snyder, who might be the best pitching coach in all of baseball, instead of sending a guy down to AAA. Now, maybe later on in the season when there's a big set of road games compared to home games, they might do some sort of phantom IL stint and call up Boyle and see what he can do. But I think we're all licking our chops as to, once Boyle gets that call, how good can he really be? Can he be a number two? Can he be an ace? And I think that, just based on the stuff that he brings, the Rays are now okay with trading Jeffrey Springs and
Jacob Lopez,
and Jacob Lopez, which, by the way, I've got a flip question for you. How have Athletics fans been receptive to those two individuals? Are they pretty much putting forth what you all expected from them?
So Jeffrey Springs started out great, and he was like, oh, this is great. Severino and Springs, first 40 games, the first 30, 35 games of the season, we were great. Then Springs had the same deal. Severino couldn't pitch at home, and he had his outings where he was going 5-6 innings, giving up 6 runs, 8 hits, 6 runs type of deal, and back-to-back outings, etc. And I remember the conversation we had about his fastball. His fastball at the beginning of the season was 90-91. And when you are a changeup guy, that's a big deal. Now he's getting stronger. His arm's getting a little bit there, 92, 93. And now that changeup is so much more effective. And he's had some unbelievable starts. So I would say 30 games of the year, 40 games of the year, A's fans, whatever we have left of them, wanted to crucify Springs. They didn't want him. They hated him. Out of the rotation. Wave him. All that good stuff. Lately, he's been awesome. Jacob Lopez, where this kid's come from, no one could guess. I mean, the guy's been averaging 9, 10 Ks, 8, 9, 10 Ks a game against good teams. He has absolutely been dealing, and he's getting better every single outing. And here's the deal. His stuff, as far as you look at his numbers and fastball, nothing off the charts, 92 maybe. But the thing about Lopez is he's 6'4". He's a big boy, and he comes at you at that 3/4 type of way, and hitters are having a real hard time picking up the ball. If he can have a command, pitch strikes, he's tough, man. He is real tough. So that's been a good thing. Are the Rays going to be buyers? Now, you're talking about the pitching and Boyle, but the bottom line is do they need another hitter?
Well, that's the thing. I think they might want to. I think the acquisitions might come from within via calling up or making sure that Ha-Seong Kim is healthy and available. I think there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, I don't see a case of going out and getting Nelson Cruz like we did a couple years ago. I think the offense, the way it is structured right now, they have things rolling between Caminero, Aranda, Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lau. Now, if one of those guys goes down, then you might need to consider reinforcements. But I would think at this point, as far as moves at the deadline, it might be a reliever, middle inning reliever for depth, and maybe some type of versatile hitter or position player. So, maybe think of, from several years ago, like an Eric Sogar type. Okay. Because I really don't, at this point, unless they really shocked me, I wouldn't see any blockbuster deal.
Have they brought up Carson Williams yet?
I'm sorry?
Have they brought up Carson Williams yet?
No, they have not. And I don't expect him to be called up this year between Taylor Walls and Ha-Seong Kim.
Sure.
He's probably going to be and I know he's definitely generated some interest, but I think he would be a 2026 guy. Now, a guy they have called up is Chandler Simpson, who might be the fastest player in all of baseball.
I was surprised they sent him back down.
Yeah. Well, part of it was working on the defense and trying to get on base a little bit more. It seems that he may have figured that out, but yeah, he has a very unique skill set, a very unique talent. He will probably never hit a home run in his career, but he will generate a solid average and wreak havoc on the base paths. And you'll see some highlight reel plays in the outfield as well. So I think I really don't see any type of major maneuver. And then there's also, Joe Boyle, like we mentioned. I would think that, if the Rays offense wasn't doing as well as it is right now, Joe Boyle may have gotten the call up. Considering some of the other starters that have struggled, but they just have a really good group that is gelling right now. So why fix something that isn't broken? I think that's part of the perspective.
I want to have a little fun with a possible trade proposal and pretend you're the GM of the Rays and see if you would do it.
Okay.
Brett Rooker for Joe Boyle and Brody Hopkins.
I would have to say no.
Come on, yeah. Really?
The Rays are very protective of their pitchers, especially their young pitchers. Is
that right, huh?
Yes. And again, if we were starved for homers, then maybe the situation would be a little bit different. But home runs aren't seemingly a problem this year. Yeah, so hey, if you can come up with a trade offer for Jacob Wilson, I'm all for it, because I will take that offensive production at the shortstop position with his age, because he is maybe one of my favorite players. And I really hope that the Athletics fans realize the type of talent that they have. I mean, he is a unicorn when you look at his slash line and everything that he's bringing to the game.
100%. I mean, that's what's exciting about the A's right now. You got Nick Kurtz and Jacob Wilson. I mean, they might be arguably right this year 1-2 in Rookie of the Year. It's that much fun. But and Tampa will definitely be able to see Nick Kurtz this weekend. When we come back, I want to go through the matchups and get some predictions from you, if that's all right.
Guess what, people? Summer is finally here, and that means it's all about baseball right now. There is baseball under the lights, golf on the green, and high-stakes soccer happening right now, and FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. I know you are. Why not make it just a little bit more thrilling with some green Skittles? And with FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. And why not? You can do both. There's multitasking. But guess what? Right now, Tampa Bay Rays have World Series odds of 2,500. Not as good as the Los Angeles Dodgers that have a 210. But, hey, better odds than the Jays, the Brewers, the Red Sox, Diamondbacks, Orioles, Marlins, you name them. So maybe some green Skittles there would be a nice little touch to start your week. New to FanDuel, guess what? New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel to get started.
We got Jacob Lopez and is it Drew Rasmussen going tonight?
Drew Rasmussen has been a tank this year. You'd probably like to see a few more innings from him, but it's also understandable that he was coming off his third Tommy John surgery.
Yeah,
and this was a guy that, was acquired by the Rays a couple years ago in the Willy Adames deal, and he was like the secondary piece. JP Fireeisen was the big name, and Rasmussen was just a reliever at the time with 2 pitches. And the Rays said, hey, this guy has so much talent and so much ability. We think even just with the 2 pitches, we can convert him to a starter, and the rest is history. And of course, he's expanded his repertoire since then. And he's a guy that, very well could make the All-Star game depending on how it all plays out this year.
Gotcha.
So I would think that the Rays could. I'll just put it like this, Boony. I am perhaps anticipating a sweep.
Okay, all right, I like it. For the Rays?
Yes, the Rays sweeping the Athletics. Yes.
Thank you. I figured that's where you're going with it. Yeah. Tomorrow you got Boz and Springs. How's Boz been?
Yeah, there's definitely been some ups and downs, some downs recently, but based on his last start, he seems to have figured something out. He's a guy when he's at his full level, he has 3 to 4 really, really elite pitches. And he's also a fun guy to watch because when you get a chance to see him, I assume on television, he has one of the more effortless deliveries that you'll ever see. 99, 100 miles an hour, top of the zone. It's like he's just doing soft toss, and it comes out of his arm just that easy. And he also has a knuckle curve and myriad other pitches as well that he can go to. He's a guy that really I thought would have better numbers this year and really have that breakout after dealing with injuries the last couple seasons. But I think he's still trying to find his footing. But I see him. He has the potential to be a number 2, if not an ace, down the line.
Wow. Question for you. McClanahan, you mentioned he's hurt. When do you expect him back?
That's the $1 million question, I guess.
Yeah.
I know he had a setback with the nerve issue in his throwing arm, and I really don't know. I have not seen recent updates on it. I had heard that, he was on the mound and looked decent, but I don't think there's an exact timetable on when he would return. There's just a hope that later on in the season and definitely come playoff time. But then again, if and when he returns, the question is, how did the Rays use him? Are they comfortable, putting him out there with starter innings, or do they want to work him back slowly as a 1-inning relief guy? But I mean, this is a guy that, is a multi-time All-Star and a Cy Young candidate that, you're banking on. So it's also really kind of amazing that the Rays are where they're at without him this entire season. So could you just imagine a 7-man rotation with Shane McClanahan and Joe Boyle? So that kind of brings up the point that you can't keep all these guys. So there's going to be a situation where the Rays are going to have to cut loose or trade one or more of these starters to make room for McClanahan and Joe Boyle. The question is, who is it going to be? Is it going to be Taj Bradley? Is it going to be Zach Littell? Is it going to be somebody else?
Gotcha. And tomorrow, Pepio and Mitch Spence. Would you say it's Pepio and Littell 1-2? And as far as your rotation, is Pepio considered the ace? Is it Littell? Does it go back and forth?
Yeah, Pepio was the opening day starter, and I think they've more or less kept that consistency. As far as who's having the best season this year, it's Rasmussen, but Pepio's definitely held his own as the quote unquote number 1. Now, if I said, hey, let me put it like this. I don't know if Ryan Pepio is ace material, but he was the opening day starter just because of the injury to Shane McClanahan. But he's been really solid, no complaints. I mean, he's kind of an under the radar guy. I mean, we talk about so many other guys in the Rays rotation that might have better stuff and be more electrifying, but he just finds a way to get it done. And he's a bulldog. He's a grinder.
Is that right? All right. Prediction time. I'm going to go first. Actually, you know what? Go ahead. You're going to go sweep.
Yep. I'm going to go the old sweeperoo. I just think that the Athletics on their heels, obviously this season, traveling. And I think the Rays find a way. They're ready to show that they're not as bad as what they were against the Orioles, and they're going to put it all together.
This is what I got. I got the A's winning tonight. Jacob Lopez is that good.
Okay.
I got Jeffrey Springs dominating tomorrow, and I got the Rays getting salvaging Game 3 of the series. But
all right,
good news for you is that I'm running at about the same percentage as the A's winning percentage in these predictions. So we'll see what happens. Kevin, hey, appreciate it. It'll be a fun series, pal.
Yes, it will. And I will say this. Whenever there's a lefty starter on the mound, you don't know what happens with the Rays offense. So there could be a chance where the A's pull out a game or two.
You're the best, man. Let's see what happens. Hopefully. I mean, we could use a little bit of smiling over here. Take it easy, bud. For your second listen, check out the brand new Locked On MLB Game Night. It's like flipping from a Steinbrenner Field showdown to a full-blown national broadcast. Every game, every night, all season long. Get smart, local insight with coast-to-coast coverage that actually feels plugged in. You can find Locked On MLB Game Night on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Because whether your team is gunning for October or just trying to stay on the charter flight, Game Night got you covered.